All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we've got even more layoffs in the industry here in 2024. Things are looking pretty bleak, and I don't think they're going to be getting better anytime soon. Let's cue up the music and we'll talk about it. All right, first off, here we are. We're in July of 2024, just a couple days in, and we've already got 12 layoffs so far. More layoffs than days in the month. As you can see, June we had 632, 705 in May, April had 1,000, 600 in March, February 2K, and 6K in January alone. Not to mention 2023. It's been a rough 2 years, and I usually cite Wikipedia for stuff, but this, numbers is, fairly accurate and hard to mess up here, but they put in a bunch of factors as far as why, and they call the Russian invasion of Ukraine one of the reasons and all that. That's kind of silly, but I can tell you what some of the causes are, and probably with some accuracy. One is that they have just allowed the cost of games to get out of hand, and I think these companies got kind of complacent during COVID, because COVID was a time when everybody was on lockdown, everybody was at home. What were people doing at home? They were ordering streaming services, they were ordering their groceries online, DoorDash, and playing video games and getting fat. That's what was going on then. But, things have changed. The lockdown lifted and people got out, and, it takes time to steer an industry away from habits, right? So I have a feeling a lot of these companies got bloated during that time. People were working from home and, this, that, and the other thing. But I think, and another thing I think that might be really impacting this is a lot of studios are hiring big actors and actresses to be in their games, and that's kind of crazy. I don't know how much they're getting paid for that, to be honest with you. It could be, I'm sure it's a fraction of what they get for an actual film. Maybe some of them even do it for a lesser price because they're a video game fan and they're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Yeah, I'll do that. I don't have to get dressed up and all that. I just go in and do my lines and boom, I'm done. Maybe. I don't know how it works. But I'm sure that's a major factor. But one of the biggest factors I'm imagining, besides internal bloat, is companies like Sweet Baby Inc., who, it's recently been discovered that they're trying to shake down the company in China for $7 million so that, they can be more diverse or whatever. And they're basically harassing them, saying that they'll make their life better or their game better here in the U.S. for $7 million. And IGN and other of these online gaming publishers, these gaming journalists, are writing hit pieces about him, and so it feels like they're working together in an extortion ring. Now that of course has not been proven. That's not on the table. That's just my assessment. That it feels like extortion. It feels organized, but that goes without saying. And the real shame of Sweet Baby Inc. And I was talking to someone in the comments the other day about Flintlock, and they're like, "Well, it looks, it's going to be on Game Pass and yada yada." And I'll probably give it a try. And I'm like, yeah, let me know if it's any good, And someone else, or maybe it was the same person, was like, the problem is whenever I see a black female character now, a lead in a game, I automatically think that it's been touched by Sweet Baby Inc. or Black Girl Gamers or any of these other garbage, disgusting companies that are just, pushing for this weird false diversity in gaming, which results in every game character looking the same. All the women are these, they're these strong black women, or they're these, if they keep them white, they make them look like men, with the square jaws and the weird build and the very unfeminine body lines, more squared off torsos. And it's disturbing to see this trend. And people will, people give you hell over your opinion on that, and it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, you just want to jerk off to video. No, I don't want to jerk off to video games. Okay, I'm 55 years old. I've got a family, and I've got a job, and this is what I do for fun on the side. I've been a video game fan since I was 10 years old. I've been playing for a long, long time, longer than most of the people who are watching this have been alive. And definitely been playing longer than 99% of these idiot, retarded journalists out there and game developers, who, whatever. It's funny because, when you've been around for a while and you grow and you learn and you begin to recognize trends and you begin to recognize things and you see things when you get older that you wouldn't have seen when you're younger because you're just dumb, And I attribute a lot of this dumbness to these younger people because it's just natural when you're young. You're dumb. You just look at the world and you're like, oh, it's the world. Everything is if somebody tells me something, it's true. If I see something, it's true. No. You got to think for yourself sometimes. And more than ever with the way the world is, it's an absolute shit show right now. But gaming is just part of it. Gaming, there's a lot of people talk about a culture war going on right now, and I'm a firm believer in that culture wars. It feels like our Western values, the values that built the United States up and made it the greatest country on earth and the greatest country in the history of humanity, is under attack. We are under attack, and we're under attack from within. And it's this weird, organized attack that is made up of everything from the entertainment industry, the news media, education, and your government. And it's all like working in conjunction together. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why. And I'm the person I want to know why. I want to know why all this is happening. And, I've got my internal theories that I don't want to talk about here and now. But I've got some thoughts on that, and one day I'll put them to paper and get them out there because I'm very, it's something I don't want to talk about because, there's a lot to it. But, and how does that work? Adolf Hitler talked about, I think it was the big lie. If you say something that's a lie, no matter how big of a lie, if you say it enough and you say it loud enough and you say it often enough, it becomes a truth, right? And that's what we're facing these days, is this weird big lie. And it's being propped up all these different ways so that younger people these days, and if you're younger and listening to this, listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to believe me or whatever, but you don't have to. And I'm not looking here to change anybody's mind and all that. I'm looking to open your eyes a little bit. But somebody can tell you, they could teach you something in school, right? And it could be wrong. Okay? It could be taught for propaganda purposes, for whatever reason. It could be taught to you by a teacher who has an agenda. It could be taught to you in a school system that has an agenda. Maybe the higher ups in the school system have that weird agenda, whatever. So they could tell you something and normalize it for you, right? And say, well, look, you can be whatever you want to be, boy, girl, gender fluid, this, that, you don't, they can tell you something like that, right? In school. And as a child, you're going to believe it because you're young and you're dumb and you don't know any better. I mean, you believed in Santa Claus, you believed in the Easter Bunny, you believed, you're a kid. So lying to children about something like that, they believe it's the truth, okay? So if you combine that then with characters like that showing up in media, right? In television, movies and all that, you see it a lot in stuff geared for children. These weird things. They're trying to push it on the fringes of entertainment for children right now. They even have some schools have been found to have these books that are teaching pretty graphic stuff to young children. And it's like, whoa, why? Kids don't need to know this. Innocence ends soon enough for all of us, right? We're all eager to grow up and become grown-ups and all that because being a kid sucks and being a grown-up is so awesome, right? Yeah, if you kids only knew what everybody who becomes a grown-up and makes it that far is always like, man, there's at least one time in your life, unless you had the most horrible childhood, where you're like, man, I wish I could be a kid again. I didn't have to worry about who was paying the bills. I didn't have to worry about what was for dinner. I didn't have to worry about this and that, I was just a dumb kid, I played on my Atari and I listened to my music and I read my Hardy Boys books and, I was a dumb kid and I loved it and I enjoyed it and all that. But yeah, we're in the middle of a culture war. So the school teaches it to you. Then you see it on TV. You see it in video games. You see it in the movies. You see it in the news. And it becomes a reality. Even though it's not a reality. That's the way it, because you see it so much and everybody's affirming it, it becomes a reality if you don't know any better and you weren't raised differently. And too many parents are not involved with their kids these days. Not enough, I don't think. Spend some time with your kids. Don't let the internet raise them. Don't let them become part of these weird online, and I'll put quotation marks up, communities. Because I think they're like one of the worst things for humanity. I think social media and all that has destroyed the fabric of humanity. Humanity used to be built on a foundation of family, right? From the earliest times, your little tribe, that little group that lived in the cave together, you were a family. It was mom and dad and their children and their grandchildren and, maybe their brothers and sisters, whatever. And, these tribes grew and grew bigger and became people and nations and stuff like that, whatever, on a larger scale. But family was always the foundation. It was the brick that you built everything else upon. Then you put a community on top of that, You had 10 families in a small community. One guy, raised cows. One guy had chickens. One guy had pork. One guy had vegetables. One guy made bread. This and that and the other thing. And everybody traded and everybody prospered. And if someone was having a hard time of it, everybody else pitched in and helped that person. This is what happened. So all of this is being threatened as culture is being destroyed, These things are no longer celebrated. Families, no longer celebrated. Even identity is no longer celebrated. When they try to destroy the very fabric, the very basic, most basic part of you, which is your humanity, whether you're a man or a woman, that's horrifying, right? Absolutely horrifying. And I'm going off on a crazy tangent right now. It's late at night, and but we're going to bring it all together here. So anyway, they push this weird diversity thing. And they want to be inclusive of everybody. And you cannot include everybody in everything. I'm sorry. You can't. Okay? You can't include everybody in everything. You can't make a game that will appeal to everybody and be everybody's game. It could be the best game in the world. It could be so much fun. But there's going to be people that it's not for. Right? It's just the way it is. Just like food. You can make the most delicious dish in the world. But if it has heavy cream in it, someone who's lactose intolerant cannot enjoy that. Do you remove the heavy cream then and make the dish less tasty just so that person can enjoy it? Well, now they're having a lesser version of the dish, and so is everyone else. And that's not fair to everyone else. So, looking at games, you got to understand that they don't have to be for everybody. So this diversity nonsense is crazy, and it's just a waste of money. And I'm sure it's helping destroy these studios that are going out of business this year, because we've seen a lot of studios that Sweet Baby Inc. has worked with are either closing or laying people off. And the latest one is the Tales of Kenzara Zal developer. They began laying off employees despite previously claiming that the boycott did not crush the game. And the game was boycotted. And the game was boycotted because they were involved with Sweet Baby Inc. or Sweet Baby Inc. was involved with them. And people wanted to get away from it. And here's the real shame of this. From my understanding, this game was developed at Surgeon Studios, and it was developed by a guy, and I guess it's talking about, or it's based on either legends or something like that from his culture. Okay? From his very culture. So it could have been really cool. And it could have been interesting, and it could have been fun to check out. Kind of like Chia was with New Caledonia and New Caledonians and all that, until they went into this weird lesbian tangent for like a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, however old the child was, that just totally threw me off, and it ruined the game for me. It literally ruined the game for me. I'm like, oh, I'm having this fun little adventure. It's kind of neat. The music, the food, the culture. This is wild. This blend of the French and the indigenous people. It was awesome. And then they had to make lesbians, and I'm like, why? She's like a child. Oh, God. Absolutely destroyed it, for me at least. Maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm not, I don't know, but I'm just telling you, that's how I felt. But Surgeon Studios, it's laying off employees now. As initially reported by Minimal Effort, numerous Surgent Studios employees announced they had been laid off on LinkedIn. Joe Philpott, a 3D environment artist, posted, "Unfortunately, I've been affected by layoffs at Surgent Studios. If you or anyone you know is looking for a 3D artist, 3D environment artist with 3+ years of experience and multiple shipped projects in games and VR, I would like to talk more." Jordan Smee, a former technical artist, also wrote, "Well, looks like I'm joining all the people affected by industry layoffs this year, and I'm now seeking technical art and environment art positions. If anyone in my network is aware of any openings or can offer any guidance or help in getting me to my next steps, I would sincerely appreciate it. Looking to start ASAP or as close to that as possible." Let's face it, I don't know about the whole world, but in the U.S. right now, and these guys aren't, I don't think these guys are from the U.S., but wherever you are, getting laid off sucks. And I'm not happy to see this happen to these people because they're probably good people for the most part. Some people are awful. I get it. And it's good to see awful people suffer sometimes, right? But these people, this is a technical artist, the other guy, because they worked on a game that involved this Sweet Baby Inc., who's not laying people off, by the way. They should be the ones closing down and laying people off. Maybe it's time for everybody who's been involved with a project that had Sweet Baby Inc. involved in it, and that project has failed. Maybe it's time to start a class action lawsuit and sue that company to oblivion and all the other companies out there like that. Go after their throats and try to take every dime from them because they destroyed games. They literally destroyed games. Again, here's a game that was based on folklore or whatever you want to call it, and because Sweet Baby Inc. was involved, we see a character that is black and we think diversity higher, right? We think this person is just black because they wanted the person to be black when it's actually authentic and he should be that. It's really messed up. Patty Brisborn, a former level designer at Surgent Studios, posted, "Hello, the chapter entitled Pete Works at Surgent Studios is coming to a close at the end of the month. If you're looking for a remote game level content designer with technical Unreal and Unity experience who is quick to learn and whose favorite ice cream flavor is pineapple, gross, then drop me a message." Yeah. He seems kind of like a clown with that whole ice cream flavor thing. Philip Smythe, who's producer there. "I'm another casualty of the Wild West industry that is video game development. I am open to project management roles within the tech and digital industries. Down to chat about my other roles I can help you fill. I'll be extremely curious, so send me a message and we can chat. No expectations your side." And on and on and on. And these layoffs come in the wake of the game's director, Abubakar Salim, claiming the game's sales were fine after painting himself as a diversity victim, and he announced a deep discount in the game. Here's what he posted. "Why drop the price of your game? It's our way of making a statement in the face of targeted harassment." So this is not the route to take, bro. Targeted harassment, shut up. That's not what was going on. People were giving you hell about Sweet Baby Inc. It's not targeted harassment. It's not because you're black. It's not because this or that or the other thing. It's because your involvement with Sweet Baby Inc. When we hear the word diversity, we always think about race or gender as the only factors. This is a very narrow and honestly uneducated interpretation of what diversity means or can mean. And you're absolutely right, my friend. The only problem is that is exactly what is pushed when we hear diversity in video games. When we hear diversity, we look at a group of characters like that Concord game coming up with everybody, it's weird and it's crazy. If you look at Horizon, right? Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. I enjoyed those games immensely, and I love the look of the future, the post-apocalyptic world, 1,000 years after the world quote-unquote ended, right? 1,000 years after this apocalyptic event wiped out most of the life on Earth. Why do we have little small tribes of people, a few hundred people, and there's a black guy, and there's an Asian guy, and there's a Spanish woman, and there's a white person, and there's all these different distinct looks? 1,000 years after an event like that, people would become homogenized in their looks. Okay? It's not like you would have a black guy no, people would be more homogenized depending on where they were located in the world or the country or whatever. would impact that, right? So if you were in an area that was very Hispanic, like Texas, and you're part of the story there would be a very central South American look to the people that live there, to the tribe that survived. It'd be made up of white people, black people, and all the other people that live in Texas, as it's very, there's a ton of different people there, but that's the way it would lean, right? If it was in California, you would have more of an Asian look to you, right? Up in New York, you'd have it would be really weird up there because New York's already such a melting pot where it's supposed to be. But you would have a lot of Jewish, Middle Eastern, and all that, and different looks. Florida would be, everybody would have their own distinct look in an area that kind of would lean that direction. But you wouldn't have the black guy, the white guy, the Chinese lady. That would be gone. Those looks would be gone. Those genetic traits would be meshed in with everything else into this homogenized look for people, and all that. So that was one thing that always aggravated me about that game. Because it felt like this weird diversity thing. And then on top of that, the accents. It's like, well, why do we have different regional accents in here? If you want to really hire voice actors and you really want to make something immersive and all that, give the distinct tribes a look. This tribe came from San Francisco, so they have a very Asian look to them. This tribe came from, Montana, so they're very white. They're very, Nordic or whatever, however you want to do it. Not this weird hodgepodge of all these different people with all these different accents. And the accents, work on an accent for each tribe in each region or whatever, and have those people speak with that. That would give you an authentic feeling, diverse look, right? But anyway, back to this. Diversity is also incredibly closely linked to our socioeconomic positions and the issues we face globally. Diversity can also encompass people who struggle with the pressures of ensuring that there is enough food on the table, a roof over families' heads, and all the other elements that are vital day-to-day comfort and survival, many of which people take for granted because they haven't had similar challenges. As a business owner at this stage, the pricing of Zao is the only aspect I can use to take action. Even this is a difficult thing to orchestrate, especially while being respectful to our partners. Lowering the price of a game is much easier said than done. It's a miracle we were able to action this so soon, and it's largely thanks to the efforts and support of many people on our side and the publishing side. Next, he addressed the game's sales by quoting someone, the game isn't selling well. He says, also false. I've addressed this on an AMA Reddit. The numbers some are circulating are a fraction of our actual playership, and they're being shared in bad faith by people who are wanting to provide proof that their harassment campaign has been successful in punishing us for daring to take up space. Bro, come on. So let's go down and actually look at these numbers here. So clearly the game sales were not fine given the layoffs, obviously. I mean, even sometimes we're seeing games that had decent sales lay off people. It's kind of a really messed up time right now, but I mean, let's look at this. This game came out in April. Yeah, in April, right? Oof. All-time peak 2 months ago, 287 players. And right now, at the time this article was written at least, 14 players are playing. And that's half of the 24-hour peak. That's absolutely insane. But even with Salim attempting to paint himself as a victim in June, it did not significantly move the needle when it came to an increase in players. The peak concurrent in June only hit 47. Wow, and that's probably right here, yeah. Absolutely horrible. The game just dropped into the abyss right after it was released. And you can attribute it to it being added to Sweet Baby Inc., the detected Steam curator list. Absolutely. And is that wrong? Well, it's not wrong. People have a right to know. I'm tired of buying video games and, playing through the game for a while and enjoying it, and then like Chia, finding out, oh, now I have an 11-year-old now I'm an 11-year-old lesbian playing this game. Why is my character a child, but also a lesbian? That's not right. I don't want that. I don't want that in a game. And I should have been told that up front, that this is part of the game. I never would have played it. I would have been like, you know what? That's not for me. You get really tired of it. And you get tired of seeing it all the time. Another one was Pacific Drive. A lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. It's like a roguelike survival type game with your cars, your base, and all that. Partially through the game, you unlock this thing that, and it's set in like 1990 something, right? Partially through the game, you unlock something where you have all stickers for your car, because you can like decorate your car and make it look all cool and all that. And what do they have in the stickers? 20 some odd pride flags. I mean, not just one pride flag, no, 20 something pride flags and a Black Lives Matter flag in 1990 something. Absolutely stupid. It threw me immediately out of the game. And then, you know, there's 3 characters in the game other than yourself that you're talking to on a radio. I think it's just 3. 2 of them turn out to be gay. And it's like, why, guys? Why? You know, why was that important? Subnautica, Below Zero. The first Subnautica was one of my favorite games of all times. The second one was pretty good. I don't think it had ever reached just how amazing that first one was, although it was good. But the main character, lesbian, you know, and it's just time and time again. And it's gotten to the point where it's a joke now. It's like, oh, look, I have a female lead character, lesbian. Rumor is they're going to make Lara Croft a lesbian. Lara Croft, who's never been a lesbian. And if you talk to people, no, she was always a lesbian, because if you remember this one cutscene back in the day, no, Lara Croft wasn't designed as a lesbian. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. You can try to change things all you want. You can try to rewrite history and all that. It's just it's appropriating existing IPs for your own agenda. And it's gross and it's disgusting, and we're tired of it. And we're going to push back, and we're not going to buy it anymore. And more people are going to lose their jobs. More studios are going to close, and the industry is going to crumble until these guys wake up and go, wow, man, we're really screwing up. Maybe we should just make good games that people want to play. And then the ship will right itself and everything will be kosher. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. If you enjoyed this at all, please leave a like on it down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.